Well, welcome to this Pink Elephant Communications Masterclass, and I'm delighted to be joined by Andy Fell, a friend of mine for the best part of 20 years, who at one time was my major client at Royal Bank of Scotland, sent me training all over his empire in these days. And then when he emigrated to Australia and became general manager of St. George Bank there, he invited me twice out to the continent to tour to various cities to do training there. How are you now, Andy, in Australia, in lockdown?
Well, absolutely superb, to be honest, Bill. I believe this has just given me a brilliant opportunity to really rethink my purpose, rethink my goals, and actually pivot my business to seek new opportunities. So yeah, I'm in great space, and it's always brilliant talking to you.
Now, habits are what we're starting off talking about today. How important is it to develop winning habits?
Well, I think in the great times, Bill, I think habits are really, really important. In challenging or difficult circumstances, I believe they're absolutely essential. And the Disney Institute have this fantastic phrase that success is 95% systems and 5% magic. If you want to unlock the 5% magic, you need the 95% systems. And my success system is a series of winning habits and routines that enable me from the very first moment when I wake up in the morning to get into the ideal performance state, into the zone, if you like, and then make sure through the day I stay there. If I should have a challenging moment, a difficult phone call with a client, or something that doesn't go my way, then I fall back on these habits to get me back into the ideal performance zone. So I'm a fundamental believer in winning habits and routines are the foundation stone for us all to move from where we are to where we want to be.
How do you create these winning habits?
Yeah, absolutely. And mine have built over, even before you and I first met, I started to introduce some habits into my daily operating rhythm. And I've always been a fundamental believer that we should all study successful people. I had a philosophy from very early in my career that I was going to look at people who were just really good at what they did from a whole range of sectors, geographies, age groups, industries, and I just looked for successful people. I learned what they did, I copied it, and then I added my own 10% winning edge. As I've matured a little bit through the years, sometimes, I'll learn, then I'll adapt, and then I'll add my 10% winning edge. And I believe that's a key difference that makes a difference, Bill, that it's too easy to say, well, that works for them, but it won't work for me. And I see that behavior all of the time. Whereas I believe the right approach is to say, well, maybe in that particular way, it won't fit into the way that I run my life, but this is how I could adapt it. This is how I could use it. It's too easy to dismiss what successful people do. And the mindset is, well, it's easier for them. It won't work for me. We've tried that before, rather than saying, well, how can I take that and how can I build that into my success system and take the best, learn, adapt, and have my own 10% winning edge.
That resistance you talk about is interesting, Andy, and I sometimes feel that it's your ego that's getting in the way, and the ego is like a fantastic goalkeeper that's attempting to keep fresh thinking out of your mindset. How do you get past the goalie? How do you get past the ego and persuade yourself that you need to be open to new thinking?
I personally believe ego is the enemy of achievement. And one of my first bosses always said to me, Andy, through life, you've got to grow, not swell. And that to me was absolutely fantastic advice. And another one of Mountain's favorite quotes was, you've got to leave your ego at the door and make sure that every interaction that you have, every meeting is also a learning opportunity. And so from a very junior age in terms of my leadership career, now we talk about the growth mindset, but I've always had that learning mindset. And I think regardless of the current scenario with lockdowns and everything else that's going on around the world, we all have a superpower called curiosity. And that curiosity, you cannot outgrow your level of self-development. And we need to use that superpower to invest in ourselves and to make sure that we're constantly refining and pivoting the habits that we do have to make sure they may have served us well in the past, but they're going to serve us in whatever the new normal becomes, whatever the new business environment becomes as we move through and then we move out of COVID-19.
Yeah, when you're at Royal Bank of Scotland, you'll remember we made a Thoughts on Leadership CD it was then, and I interviewed Dr. Stephen Covey about his book, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. He talked about 21 to 28 days, but research keeps developing. But you've actually just got to start on it, haven't you? Because I'm always reminded of the philosophy, and it came from a Chinese philosopher more than 2,000 years ago, that words become, your thoughts become your words become your actions become your habits become your character, and your character becomes your destiny. So if you put that in one sentence, what it really means is what you think about, you bring about. But the middle bit, the fulcrum, is habits. How would you advise people to start developing new habits? Is it reading more, listening to podcasts, SoundClouds, or is it making up your own mind what you want your own habits to be?
If I step out and step up for a minute, my formula for success is very much, success is a combination of big, clear goals, which we can talk about on another day. Mindset. I think 80 to 90% of our success is what we're saying to ourselves. You know, and you've done a lot of your research around this, Bill, of the inner coach and the inner critic, and which one wins out in terms of our self-talk on a daily basis. So to me, we've got to be bombarding our mindset on a daily basis. To me, the crucial habits are helping us build our belief system on a daily basis. So success, goals, big, clear, mindset, positive, can-do, optimistic, resilient, persistent, action-orientated. And then the third part is action. You quote Chinese philosophers, I'll quote Arnie Schwarzenegger, who says, no one got muscles watching me work out. Mm-hmm. So you have to be able to take action, consistent action on a daily basis that takes you in the direction of those goals. I see so many busy people, Bill, but they get caught up in low value activity. And I think it's habits, winning habits and winning routines that enable you to strengthen your mindset, build your belief system. And a lot of that comes through self-development. A lot of that comes through investing time in people like yourself, in my case, people with, you know, a positive, can-do, optimistic attitude, positive energy, people that are going to support you. Yes, they're going to challenge and stretch you, but they're going to be the wind beneath your wings. So doing a series of winning habits and routines that really strengthen that mindset, and then creating some structures that enable you to take consistent daily action that directly influences the achievement of the goal. If there's one winning habit amongst the portfolio that I've been really stressing to people, the massive accelerator is the ability to debrief. Winners debrief more than the average. And that's every significant activity that you do, having almost an immediate debrief around what really worked, what could I improve upon, or even if you use the stop, start, continue type approach. And if you just think about it, if you do an activity, say 3 times a week, and you debrief that activity every time you do it, and you're just looking for the 1-2%ers, Bill. If you find for 2 out of every 3 occasions that you do it, you find a 1 to 2% improvement within 3 months, your performance is significantly ahead of where it is today. So that would be one of the absolute winning habits that I'd love to leave people with, the ability to debrief consistently. Someone we both know, a guy called Richard West with a long career in Formula One on the commercial side. Richard used to talk about in Formula One, they used to go plan, do, review. And Richard's concern was in today's world, there's less and less planning. There's almost no reviewing. So no debriefing, no reflecting, no analyzing the root cause of success, as well as the root cause of disappointment. And I think that's a critical part of the debrief as well. People are so locked down to just doing. And I think there's some real risk in that.
It's been an absolute pleasure hearing all these words of wisdom from you just now. There's going to be more. We'll be talking to each other more in the coming weeks. But in the meantime, from the founder of Gift 631, Andy Fell, from me in Scotland to you in Australia, thanks for now.
Thanks, Bill. It's been a real pleasure.